Welcome back to GMP Scenario, presented by PharmaContentLabs.com, where we break down common GMP mistakes, inspection risks, and the small control gaps that turn into big observations.
All right, let's get right into it. I want you to imagine a high-stakes laboratory, a place where every single data point is absolutely critical, and where just one deleted file can cause a massive chain reaction. This whole thing starts out like a simple mystery, but believe me, it pulls back the curtain on a fundamental truth about trust and accountability in our digital world.
So here's the scene. You walk into the lab one morning, and a critical test result, the one everyone's been waiting for, it's just gone. Vanished from the system. Deleted. And you can bet the first question from management is a simple one, but the answer? Oh, it's anything but. Who did it?
Okay, so the investigation kicks off. You pull up the system's audit trail. Those are the digital breadcrumbs that are supposed to track every single click. And there it is, a single entry, logged at the exact time of the deletion. You've got your one and only clue, a single username.
And that name? QC_admin, the Quality Control Administrator account. At first glance, this looks like an open and shut case. We've got our culprit, right?
Nope, not even close. And here is the twist that just flips this entire investigation on its head. When you start asking around, you find out something pretty chilling. Everyone on the team uses the QC_admin account. Why? For convenience, for speed, for basically everything. And just like that, your single suspect is the entire team.
And this is exactly how we find ourselves in the middle of a classic digital whodunit. It's like finding a fingerprint at a crime scene that belongs to literally everyone in the room. The fallout from this is immediate and total. When the quality assurance department asks that all-important question, who did this? All they get back is silence. See, no one can prove who did it. But just as important, no one can prove who didn't do it. Accountability has completely evaporated.
You see, this isn't just about one little deleted file. It blows the lid off a huge foundational flaw in the system. I call it the problem with one key. Think about it. When everyone has the same key to the front door, you have no idea who is actually coming and going. So this brings us to a really crucial concept called attribution. In the simplest terms, it's the power to trace every single action back to one specific person. Not a team, not a job title, but one unique user. It's knowing exactly who did what and when they did it.
And shared accounts? Well, they are the mortal enemy of attribution. They just shatter that digital link between a person and their actions. They're basically designed to create anonymity, which completely destroys any hope of having real accountability. It creates a thick fog right where you need perfect clarity.
So we have to ask ourselves, in a highly regulated environment, say one governed by good manufacturing practices, or GMP, is a setup like this even remotely acceptable? Or is it something way more serious, like a fundamental data integrity failure? The answer is not a maybe. It is a massive failure, and a really critical one at that. And look, this goes so far beyond just a technical slip-up. It points to a failure of integrity, not just in the data itself, but in the entire system and the culture that's supposed to be protecting that data.
Because at the end of the day, having unique user accountability isn't just a nice-to-have feature. It is the absolute bedrock of trustworthy electronic records. Without it, all of your precious data is basically built on a foundation of sand.
And this is where the rubber really meets the road. This isn't some theoretical problem. For auditors and inspectors, the second they find shared logins, it is a massive red flag. It's one of the very first things they hunt for because it tells them so much about an organization. So what does it tell them? Well, it screams weak controls. It basically suggests that convenience is valued more than security and that the overall company culture doesn't really care about data integrity. It's a symptom of a much, much deeper problem. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time diagnosing the disease. Now let's talk about the cure. How do we build a system where attribution isn't an afterthought, but a guarantee? It all starts with laying the proper foundation. It really comes down to 3 non-negotiable rules. First, every single user gets their own unique ID protected by strong authentication. No sharing, no exceptions. Second, you have to use role-based access with the principle of least privilege. That's just a fancy way of saying people get access only to what they absolutely need for their job and not announce more.
And third, you do regular access reviews to make sure permissions are still correct. And, this is crucial, to immediately cut off access for anyone who's left the company. Of course, we all know the temptation, don't we? We've all heard that little voice, or maybe it's a coworker, say, let's just use the admin account. It's so much faster. That right there is the voice of convenience, and it is the single biggest threat to a secure system. And it's a bad habit that inspectors are trained to sniff out from a mile away. So let's say you've done all the hard work. You've built a secure system. How do you actually prove it? How do you pass the test when an inspector shows up at your door, ready to look under the hood? Well, you have to have your documentation completely in order. It's not enough to have the right system, you need the paper trail to back it all up. That means a clear standard operating procedure, or SOP, for access, a privilege matrix spelling out who gets what, records of your access reviews, and proof that you're actually monitoring the activity of those super powerful admin accounts. So what are they going to ask for point blank? They're going to say, show me your current user list. Now, show me the specific privileges for these 5 users right here. And finally, show me the signed off records from your last 3 access reviews. If you can hand that over without breaking a sweat, you're showing them you're in control. So let's end on this one thought. Every piece of data in your system is telling a story. The question that shared accounts force you to ask is, well, it's a troubling one. Can you actually trust the narrator of that story? Building a solid foundation of attribution makes sure that the answer is always, without a doubt, yes.
If this helped, like and subscribe.